Want to talk real quickly about Indiana, guys, and just get y'all's pulse on that program. I know it's a feel-good story. It's always hard for those teams to move from a one-year feel-good story to actually having legitimate staying power, though. Do you see that path being there for Kurt Cignetti, or is he always going to be, by nature of being at Indiana, kind of fighting for 7-8 wins and then hoping the schedule breaks away like it did this year to take that next step?
I worry that Indiana could go Florida State-esque, not in the way that they only win one game, right? But you live by the portal, you die by the portal. Now, they did a great job bringing Kamara back. They got Omar Cooper back. They got Waffle House, Elijah Surratt back this year. So the pieces are there. Cignetti has proven himself at every single level to be a successful coach. I don't know as much about Mike Norvell to know what he has done at lower levels, but Cignetti is truthful when he says, Google me, I win. He also punts, but Google me, I win. And he wins everywhere he goes. And he walks into a year with an extremely favorable schedule and gets an 11-1 regular season. And their only two losses are to the national champion and the national runner-up. That's quite the thing to have to follow up next year when your schedule gets tougher. Curtis Rourke is also a fantastic quarterback. Ken Mendoza have something similar to that. I think it's a tough piece to follow, though, right? Like the standard you've now set, I feel like that you see Indiana fans is we're going to compete every year, and like there might be a big fall off that hill that you're on top of if you're not careful coming in, because if that's the expectation you want, then you better figure out how to beat Ohio State. You better figure out how to beat Oregon, Penn State, and Michigan consistently if you're going to live there. I think Cignetti is the coach to do it, though. I think he has the mindset. But don't walk on College game day and say we whipped top 25 teams' asses when you only lost to them. Brian, your thoughts?
I just it's one thing when you're coming in and you're building your first portal class off of a bunch of guys that you were intimately familiar with from your previous school. Mm-hmm. And I just wonder how easy that's going to be to replicate when you're having to rely on, your GM or your advanced scouting team or the group of analysts that you've compiled at your program to look at these guys in the portal and try to figure out not just talented players who can make that jump up to the next level, but guys who are program fits too. Because I think a lot of what went wrong with Florida State this year just sounds like it was a mismatched group of guys who, as talented as they were, they didn't come together well as a team. You had guys who got their paycheck and they're like, I don't really care about this team. You don't have these. It's different when it's like the guys that you're recruiting at the high school level and you're building that culture through them. Like, this is the way that we do things here. And if you're constantly, clown carring in a bunch of people every year, it's just, you get this mercenary attitude about your program where if things aren't going great, then everything just falls apart because guys just don't know, hey, this is what the culture is. They just come in, they're like, well, I came here to win and we're not going to win, so I'm just going to kind of dog it the rest of the year or whatever. But I mean, they have a good portal class. I think to kind of maintain that staying power, they're going to have to do a little better than 47, 48 in the high school recruiting rank or whatever they were this year. And I think that'll come in time. The longer that he's there, the more that he's able to show like, hey, you know what? We weren't just a one-hit wonder. Maybe we're not 11-1 every year, but we're consistently winning 8-9 games a year. And I think Indiana fans initially are going to take that. I mean, what was their program record for wins before this year? Is it 9 wins?
I think so.
I think it was 8 or 9, yeah.
If you told an Indiana fan 12 months ago that we're going to be having a conversation after the 2024 season saying, we really think Indiana can be a consistent 8-9 win program, they're all going to take that because they're like, Jesus, we've done this once before in our history. I would love to have that. So I think he's certain I like some of the guys that they've brought in without doing kind of like a whole deep dive on the class. But I think for them to maintain that staying power, it's going to have to start with maybe getting a couple of difference makers at the high school level and going from there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think if you're going to live in the portal, you have to hit on the portal quarterback. That was the big thing for Mike Norvell this year is DJ, I think we could all kind of see it coming. And when he came back to the ACC, it was kind of like, okay, it's a lot of eggs that you're putting in that basket there. But Curtis Rourke, like you mentioned, Clinton, great find in the portal. I think Fernando Mendoza is a great find in the portal. Is going to be really good for that offense. But if you're going to do that, you have to hit every single year, and you're probably not going to have a guy that you can just throw in there if it doesn't work out. See Florida State. So that's going to be a big key for him too.
Gracious him. How about that?